In today's note, we're going to do a review of determining the equation of a line. So in A, we're given a line on a graph and we want to determine the equation of a line. Again, let's remember that the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b, where our m represents the slope and our b value represents the y-intercept. So looking at my graph, the easiest thing to pick out from a graph is the y-intercept. In this case, the y-intercept, if I see where it crosses the y-axis, it crosses here. So this is my y-intercept. So in my equation, I know y equals something x plus something else, or minus, and in this case the y-intercept is 5, so that means it'll be plus 5. For the b value, or sorry, the m value, I need to find my rise over run. Again, we know slope is equal to rise over run. And looking at this equation graph, I only have one clearly identified point, which is the y-intercept. That means I need to find another clearly identified one. Based on that, there are a couple options. So I'm looking for where does the line neatly cross my grid so that I know clearly what the values are. So there seems to be a point here. There's still the y-intercept. There's another point down here, here, and here. So everywhere I've drawn a green dot is where a nice point would be. Again, it doesn't matter which points you use. You can use the first and the last. You can use the first and the middle, whatever you want. Either way, you should still get the same answer. You may just have to reduce it. So I'm going to use my y-intercept in this first point here just to make it easier. So in this case, going from one point to another, I have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going down 4, so negative 4. And then my run is over 1, 2, 3. My run is positive 3. So that's my slope. I can't reduce that any further. Again, we want to be careful of what the scale on the axes are. In this case, each one or each square represents 1, so we're okay to count the squares. Since I know my slope is negative 4 over 3, I can just take that and plug it into my equation. Negative 4 over 3x plus 5. For b, b is a little different. Again, we're still dealing with the equation of a line, so y equals something x plus or minus something else, or the b value. Except here, I'm given just the slope and a point. So we have looked at examples like this in the past. The slope I can plug in right away because I know what that value is, but I don't know what that b value is yet. The only other information I'm given is a point, and we should remember that a point is an x and a y value. If you're not sure which one is which, remember that x comes before y in the alphabet. So the x value is first, and then the y value is second. If this is the case where we're only given the slope and a point, we need to plug our values in for x and y. So we need to substitute those values in. So for y, I'm going to replace it with negative 16. So my equation will now read as negative 16 equals still the 3 over 2 from the slope. The x will now be negative 4, and I'm still going to have plus b because I don't know what that value is. I can now go in through and simplify. Negative 16 stays the same. 3 over 2 times negative 4. So here I'm multiplying a fraction. So I'm going to multiply straight across. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 over 2. And then plus b, which is still the same. I can simplify a little bit more. Negative 16 equals negative 6 because the negative 12 divided by 2, and still plus b. Now I want to solve for b or get b by itself, so I need to remove this negative 6. If I put a box around it in order to cancel it out, I need to add 6 because that will cancel it out. But I also need to add 6 to the other side to keep it balanced. In this case then, negative 16 plus 6 leaves me with negative 10 equals, and then on the other side I am left with b. So that means that my final answer here is negative 10 equals b. Now that I have this b value, I have my slope from the question. I can fill those into the equation. So I should get y equals 3 over 2 x minus 10, which is the b value that I found. So that's my equation. For C is different. Again, we've looked at examples like this though in the past, because all I'm given is 2 points. So there's two options. One, I can figure out my slope by plotting these points roughly. So 8 and negative 1 is here. 4 and negative 4 and 5. So negative 4 is down over here, but negative 5 is up. So 8, negative 1, negative 4, 5. So I can plot those. If I wanted to, I could plot them on a grid, but I want to figure out what's my rise and run from one point to the next. So rise deals with the y values. Right? Again, remember points are x, y, x, y. Going from one point to another, I would have to go from down from 5 to negative 1, which means I'd be going down 6. And then my run would be going from negative 4 to positive 8, which would be a total distance traveled of 12. So that means my rise over run my rise over run would equal negative 6 over 12, which I could reduce to negative 1 over 2. The other way that I could solve this is using the algebraic formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. One y value we'll say is 5, so 5 minus the other one is 5 minus 1, or negative 1. X value is negative 4 minus 8, and you get positive 6, because 5 plus 1, positive 6 over negative 12, which is reduced to negative 1 over 2. So either way you choose to do it, you still get the same answer. Based on that idea that I just found my slope, I know so far that my equation is y equals negative 1 over 2 negative 1 over 2 x plus b. I don't know what my b value is, but I've given enough information to solve for it because I'm given x and a y value that I can plug in. Right, so I'm going to choose the second point this time. So that means I'm going to replace the y with negative 1. So I get negative 1 is equal to negative 1 over 2 times the x value, which is 8, still plus b because I don't know what that value is. I can simplify the one part. Negative 1/2 times 8 is negative 4 plus b. I don't know what this y value is. Or sorry, if I want to get the b value by itself, I'm going to put a box around the negative 4. To cancel it out, I need to add 4. I need to add 4 to both sides to balance it. Like I said, one side cancels out. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3 equals b. Because b is all that's left on the one side. So I found my slope either using rise over run by plotting the points or algebraically, and I found the b value by substituting one of those points into the equation and solving. So I get that my final equation is y equals negative 1 over 2 x plus 3. So again, the key thing here is just being able to determine the equation of a line given various pieces of information, starting with very basic and working your way up to something very more challenging or more difficult.